Chapter 71, Disciple Competition. You are listening at novelfold.audio. The leader of Lingxian sect has arrived. On the back of the exclusive spirit crane, there were two more people carrying it at this time. One of them was Mu Sheng, and there was a young man in white. This is the third disciple of the leader of Lingxian sect, Wu Yang. When the Lingxian sect disciples present saw these two people, their eyes were full of fear. There is a ranking list of disciples in the Lingxian sect, and Mu Sheng has always been firmly at the top. This is why he was so arrogant when he faced Zhang Yun, perhaps even worse than the elder Mu Sheng of the Golden Core stage. But among the disciples of Lingxian sect, he is considered the most outstanding, and this Wu Yang is not bad either, ranking among the top 5 Lingxian sect disciples in terms of strength, Mu Sheng, realm, peak of foundation building period, kung fu and combat skills practiced. Triple spiritual sword technique, inch fist strength, weaknesses, weak mental attributes, afraid of strong coercion and soul-related means, Wu Yang. Realm, peak of foundation building period, physique, top grade fire. Spirit root body, kung fu and combat skills practiced, spiritual fire technique, fire king fist, weaknesses, using flame aura as the main means. If it encounters a water attribute monk whose aura purity is higher than that of flame aura, he will be defeated instantly. Zhang Yun specially used the immortal eye technique to look at it, and then sent a message to Ming and the others below. If you encounter these two people next, Shu'er will be responsible for dealing with Wu Yang. If Mu Sheng says, Minger, you can directly release the golden dragon with all your strength. Pressure him, and Xiao Pang is responsible for the attack. Su Ming and the others were startled when they heard this, and nodded to him on the high platform. Zhang Yun said no more. In this disciple competition, Mu Sheng was the most difficult to deal with among the disciples, so he had to be on guard. After all, it was difficult to guarantee that Mu Sheng could not defeat him and would not have any thoughts about his apprentice. As the leader of Lingxian sect arrived, other elders of Lingxian sect also arrived one after another. When the 18 elders arrived, the leader of the Lingxian sect stood up and spoke loudly to the disciples who had already arrived. Disciples present, you may be a little confused. Why is this year's disciple competition brought forward? I would like to tell you that the reason for the advance is that this year happens to be this is the year of the sect competition. Due to special reasons, the sect competition will start early. In order to meet the time, the disciple competition can only be moved forward. After a pause, maybe some disciples don't understand this sect competition. It is a grand event jointly organized by our 36 sects in Nanyan Prefecture. It is held every 3 years, and the participants are all from Nanyan Prefecture. Top genius disciples. As one of the organizers, our sect will have 50 places to participate, and these 50 places will be directly allocated to the 50 disciples who perform best in this disciple competition. In order to encourage everyone, any disciple who ranks among the top 50 in this competition will not only get the chance to participate in the sect competition. Each person will be rewarded with a fine weapon and 2,000 spiritual stones. Wow! As soon as he said this, the venue was filled with excitement. Many young disciples have bright eyes. Not to mention sharp weapons and weapons, just 2,000 spirit stones are enough to drive them crazy. For these disciples, unless the master provides it, the normal supply from the sect is only 500 spiritual stones per year. This is still the treatment for high-level disciples in the foundation establishment stage. Most low-level disciples in the foundation establishment stage can only get 200 to 300 spiritual stones a year. There are even fewer disciples in the chi refining period. Therefore, when they practice, most of the spiritual stones are broken into 2 pieces. 2,000 spiritual stones is a huge sum of money to them. If they can get it, it will be enough for them to practice freely for a period of time. Looking at the many excited disciples present, the 3 of Ming couldn't help but look at each other. Although this amount of spiritual stones is quite a lot according to the disciples' normal thinking, they don't seem to need to be so excited. Well, the main reason is that every time the master gives them spiritual stones, it often costs several thousand yuan. The 3 of them couldn't help but glance at Zhang Yun on the high platform. Thinking about it now, they realized how happy they were to have this master. This year's disciple competition is divided into 2 rounds. The leader of Lingxian sect spoke again at this time. The first round is a melee. Disciples, you should have seen the disciple tower, right? Yes, this is the venue for your first round. The disciple tower is divided into 5 floors. Starting from the second floor, there are some such command flags hidden on each floor. As he said that, he took out a palm-sized command flag embroidered with the word Ling. What you have to do is to enter it and get a command flag, then climb to the 5th floor of the disciple tower and put the command flag in it. There are only 100 such command flags in the disciple tower on the 5th floor. This means that only 100 disciples will eventually enter the next round. As soon as these words came out, all the disciples present looked condensed. There are nearly 1,000 disciples present. Only 100 people can advance. The difficulty is self-evident. The 4-sided tower doors on the first floor of the disciple tower have been opened. Now all disciples go to the tower door and prepare to enter. Hearing the words from the leader of the Lingxian sect, nearly 1,000 disciples present all move together and rush to the disciple tower on the edge of the venue. On the first floor of the tower, there are 4 doors in 4 directions. Each door is nearly 10 meters wide, enough to accommodate dozens of people rushing in together. At this moment, nearly 1,000 disciples were divided into 4 groups and came to the 4 doors. They crowded with each other and wanted to stand in front. Some disciples could no longer hold back their spiritual energy. Before this sect announces the start, no one is allowed to use spiritual energy. Anyone who violates this rule will be eliminated directly. The words of the leader of the Lingxian sect made these disciples tremble and quickly gather their spiritual energy. For a while, those who could not squeeze to the front of the 4 tower gates could only stand at the back. Of course, some disciples did not bother to squeeze in at all and stood directly at the back. Among them were Mu Sheng, Wu Yang, and the chief disciples of the elders. This is a sign of confidence. Zhang Yun was staring at the south gate of the tower. At this moment, Su Ming and the others were not crowded, and they stood at the back and waited quietly. The other elders also noticed. In their opinion, Su Ming and the others knew that there was little hope, so they did not want to fight. After all, no matter how strong Zhang Yun is now, his 3 apprentices have just started. It is basically impossible to get a good ranking in the disciple competition. Looking at Zhang Yun's name on the stone pillar next to him, which ranked first among the elders in the year, many elders secretly sneered. This ranking will be removed soon. This year, due to time constraints, this melee elimination format was directly used in the first round. In their opinion, this form is the most unfavorable to Zhang Yun. The elders' score in the disciple competition is based on the disciples' overall performance in the competition. It is the most difficult to show off in this kind of melee, and many elders' eyes fell on the rear end of the south side of the tower, where besides Su Ming and others, Mu Sheng and Wu Yang were standing. Looking at Mu Sheng's posture, they knew what he wanted to do without having to guess. In front of the south gate of the tower, Mu Sheng looked at Su Ming and the 3 people in front of him with sneers, and couldn't help but glance at Zhang Yun on the high platform from afar. He has been waiting for this opportunity for revenge for a long time. He had embarrassed him several times, and today he had to embarrass Zhang Yun no matter what he said. As long as Su Ming and the others are eliminated, even if Zhang Yun has the highest points now, he will definitely fall out of the top 3 in the end. Although Zhang Yun's current strength is justified, the removal was approved at the previous meeting. After all, the sect leader will definitely not cheat. By then, thinking of this, Mu Sheng and many people who didn't like Zhang Yun sneered secretly. Now listen to my instructions. At this time, the leader of Lingxian sect spoke. Outside the disciple tower, many disciples looked tense. Dabi. The leader of the Lingxian sect raised his hand and waved it down vigorously. Start. Chapter 72, Su Ming's Edge. You are listening at novelfold.audio. Come on. Get out of the way. Nearly 1,000 disciples moved together and rushed towards the tower madly. Outside the south tower gate, Mu Sheng licked the corner of his mouth, glanced at Zhang Yun on the high platform from a distance, and sneered in his heart, just watch. Look how I eliminated all your disciples. Brother, do you want my help? Wu Yang asked from the side. No need, it's just a matter of changing hands when dealing with 3 new disciples. Mu Sheng chuckled and walked directly towards Su Ming and the others. when Wu Yang saw this, he didn't pay much attention at the moment and rushed towards the tower door. Su Ming and the others did not move when they saw this, because they had been locked by Mu Xing's qi machine. Xiao Pang, Shu'er, you go in and grab the command flag. Su Ming walked up to Wu Xiaopang and said calmly, I'll deal with him. Senior brother, the master asked us before. Wu Xiaopang and the other two hesitated. Su Ming didn't say much, just looked up at the high platform. Zhang Yun was also looking here. Seeing his firm eyes, after a moment of silence, he nodded slightly. Su Ming's mouth curved. Master agrees, junior brothers and sisters, you go. Brother, be careful. Wu Xiaopang and Wu didn't hesitate any longer. They turned around and rushed towards the tower gate. Want to leave? Mu Xing sneered when he saw this, and his whole body swooshed like a ghostly flash, catching up with Wu Xiaopang and the two of them, and punched them, snapped. But midway, he was blocked by a hand. Mu Xing was startled and looked at Su Ming, who raised his hand to block his fist in front of him, with a trace of surprise in his eyes. Although he didn't use all his strength in this punch, it was still half as strong. This guy can actually block half of his power. What a joke. Just a new disciple. Mu Xing suddenly increased his strength, as if Su Ming expected that he would increase his strength. He also exerted his strength at the same time, and actually resisted him forcefully. This. Mu Xing was a little unbelievable. Before they had time to think about it, Wu Xiaopang and Yu Shu'er took advantage of Su Ming's blocking and quickly rushed forward. Damn it! Mu Xing's face darkened, and he looked coldly at Su Ming in front of him. Then I'll deal with you first, and then go after them. Boom. As he spoke, the power in his fist exploded. Su Ming was unable to resist this time, and his body trembled due to the shock. He flew back more than 10 meters and staggered to the ground. On the high platform, the third elder of Lingxian sect watched this scene from a distance and smiled lightly. Su Ming is so courageous for daring to face Mu Xing alone. Su Ming is also wise to sacrifice himself to buy time for his junior brothers and sisters. How many tricks can Elder Ninth's apprentice be able to withstand in front of Mu Xing? How many moves? I'm afraid I won't be able to sustain even one move. It's not like you don't know Mu Xing's strength among his disciples. That's true. Su Ming is still a new disciple after all. The elders couldn't help but talk to each other. Elders, are you interested in taking a gamble with me? At this time, a voice made all the elders startled, and they all looked at the smiling Zhang Yun. The third elder asked with great interest, Ninth elder, what do you want to bet on? Zhang Yun smiled and said, bet on my apprentice and Mu Xing. I bet that my apprentice can defeat Mu Xing. Defeat Mu Xing? There was silence on the high platform, and all the elders looked at Zhang Yun. Where does this honeyed confidence come from? Phew. Meng Zhong couldn't help laughing. Zhang Yun, I think you have a headache. Defeat Mu Xing. There are only 100 disciples like you. I don't think any of them may be Mu Xing's opponent. Zhang Yun did not bother him, but just looked at the elders. Elders, would you like to bet? I can take out the infant transformation pill that I obtained at the exchange meeting as a bet. If I lose, the infant transformation pill will belong to you. If you win, you only need to give me the equivalent of 100,000 spiritual stones in market value. As soon as these words came out, the high platform fell silent again. A pair of eyes looked at Zhang Yun in shock. Bet on Huaying Dan. Go crazy. Is this true? The great elder of Lingxian sect, who didn't pay much attention at first, couldn't help but speak now. Certainly. Zhang Yun nodded and looked down. If you want to bet, hurry up. I made a bet with you. The great elder of Lingxian sect did not hesitate. Great elder, Ninth elder told us first, that the elders saw this and quit. How could you miss this opportunity to earn Huaying Dan for free? The great elder of the Lingxian sect frowned and pondered for a moment. Let's do this. If we win, this infant transformation pill will return to old age. I will give you the equivalent of 100,000 spirit stones, and the elders who want to participate will share it equally. Of course, if you lose, you will have to pay an equal share of spirit stones. I participate. I'm participating too. Hearing this, all the elders spoke one after another. They didn't expect to win the infant transformation pill, so it would be nice to earn a fortune of spiritual stones for free. In the end, among the 16 elders present except Zhang Yun and the great elder, all the other elders participated except the 6th elder who did not participate. 15 elders share the 100,000 spirit stones equally, which means one person can hold more than 6,000 spirit stones. More than 3 years of salary. All the elders smiled happily. Next to him, the 6th elder with black hair and capable eyes looked a little strange when he saw this. How long has she been in the sect? Now the elders of the sect are betting against each other. Is it possible that the Huaying Dan is as big as 100,000 spiritual stones? To be honest, she kinda wanted to participate. However, considering that he didn't know much about Zhang Yun's apprentice, he remained silent after thinking about it. The leader of the Lingxian sect on the side looked at this scene, looking at Zhang Yun with a strange smile on his face. What's going on with this kid? Mu Sheng was his second disciple, and he knew exactly what his strength was. Although Su Ming has dragon spirit roots and extraordinary talents, how long has it been since he joined the sect? Defeat Mu Sheng? Not to mention that the elders didn't believe it, he didn't even believe it. Isn't this giving away the Huaying pill for free? The leader of the Lingxian sect didn't understand. Mu Sheng takes action. Then there was a low cry. Everyone looked down. Just as they quickly reached an agreement, Mu Sheng seemed to launch a real offensive against Su Ming. The attack is a full punch. Mu Sheng sneered and stared at Su Ming in front of him. With this punch, he was going to make the other person lie down directly. He would stay in bed for at least 10 days and a half without getting up. He had long been unhappy with Su Ming. When Zhang Yun pinched his hand bones when he went to the 9th peak before, this new disciple actually wanted to step on him. He remembered this clearly. Today, he wanted to let the other party know that some people should not be offended. Hold head high. However, he had just taken a few steps forward when a dragon roar suddenly resounded from the front, and the astonishing dragon power swept through half of the surrounding venue in an instant. Mu Sheng froze, looking ahead with a look of astonishment in his eyes. This is, on the high platform, the leader and elders of the Lingxian sect who were staring at this place were also full of surprise. The many disciples who rushed into the disciple tower were all stunned by the dragon's roar and couldn't help but look back, when they saw the shadow of a golden dragon that looked like a real dragon appearing on Su Ming's body. They all looked shocked. What method is this? Summon the shadow of a true dragon? The point is that this dragon's power is too terrifying. It's obviously not aimed at them, but they all feel that the spiritual energy in their bodies is not running smoothly at the moment. If this is targeted directly, Mu Sheng is an example at this moment. Under this dragon's power, Mu Sheng's fist that rushed forward had obviously lost most of its power. The whole body seemed to be in slow motion, moving forward slowly with some stiffness, but for Mu Sheng, these are not the most uncomfortable things. The most uncomfortable thing was that his mind felt like a mountain was pressing down on him in an instant, and his whole head became a little dizzy. By the time his punch reached Su Ming, it had become limp and weak, snapped. Su Ming just raised his hand slightly to block it, and looked at Mu Sheng in front of him calmly. Is this your full strength? Mu Sheng wanted to say something, but at this moment, under the majestic dragon power, he felt a sharp pain in his head as soon as he spoke. It's much weaker than expected, Su Ming said calmly. Now, it's my turn to attack. Boom. As he spoke, the aura of the 8th level of the foundation establishment stage exploded, and the dark pupils instantly turned into red-gold vertical pupils. Hold head high. With a dragon roar, Su Ming exploded with a punch. Boom. A ring of air exploded in the venue, and Mu Sheng's whole body was blasted into the air like a cannonball, and then fell down like a kite with a broken string, landing heavily on the open space in the center of the venue. Puff. A mouthful of blood spurted out, and he passed out immediately. The whole place was dead silent. Chapter 73 The Second Round. You are listening at novelfold.audio. Lost. Mu Sheng was defeated by a new disciple. Many of the disciples who rushed into the disciple tower stopped at this moment, looking at this scene with their mouths wide open in shock, on the high platform. How can this be? All the elders suddenly stood up from their positions, their faces filled with shock. Even the leader of the Lingxian sect opened his eyes wide at this moment, looking at Su Ming below in astonishment. His second disciple was actually defeated. Is this Su Ming a new disciple? But at this time, the sixth elder of Lingxian sect suddenly spoke up. Everyone was startled. It's been less than 2 months since this year's apprenticeship ceremony, right? This new disciple. The sixth elder of Lingxian sect pointed at Su Ming below and opened his mouth. 8th level of cultivation in the foundation period. Upon hearing this, the elders suddenly woke up and looked down at Su Ming with wide eyes. The 8th level of the foundation building period. This Su Ming is actually at the 8th level of the foundation establishment stage. They couldn't help but wipe their eyes. The real smell made them unbelievable. During the apprenticeship ceremony, they remembered that Su Ming was only at the first level of qi refining stage. How long has it been? For a moment, they couldn't help but look at Zhang Yun. Zhang Yun smiled faintly. Elders, I win. These words made all the elders react, and the corners of their mouths twitched. Lost. In the blink of an eye, they lost more than 6,000 spiritual stones. Thinking about it, their bodies were trembling for a moment, but they still endured the pain and each took out a storage ring. Meng Zhong looked at Zhang Yun and his teeth itched with hatred. He thought he could earn back a sum of spiritual stones, but he didn't expect to lose another sum. Damn bastard, why hasn't that adult taken action yet? Zhang Yun didn't look at him at all, but looked meaningfully at the great elder of Lingxian sect who looked indifferent. The latter is a good move. If you win, you will spend 100,000 spirit stones to buy an infant transformation pill. Now if you lose, the elders will foot the bill. Noticing his gaze, the great elder of Lingxian sect smiled at him. Ninth elder, can you sell your infant transformation pill to me? I am willing to pay twice the market price to buy it. Sorry, great elder, I plan to keep this infant transformation pill for future breakthroughs. Zhang Yun shook his head. It's a pity. The great elder of Lingxian sect shook his head in disappointment, but at the same time he couldn't help but admire. Ninth elder, your speed in training disciples and earning spiritual stones is amazing. Zhang Yun glanced at the other party and could feel a hint of dissatisfaction in the other party's tone, but he didn't care. On the other hand, all the elders looked at Zhang Yun with envy when they heard this. In the blink of an eye, 100,000 spirit stones were obtained. This speed of earning spiritual stones is estimated to put even Nanbao Pavilion to shame. But more than envy, it's still disbelief. How was Zhang Yun trained? It has been less than a month since the exchange meeting between the two sects ended. How can we train a disciple who is still in the qi refining stage to the 8th level of the foundation establishment stage? They wouldn't even dare to think about it. Some elders who were still thinking about snatching Su Ming over after Elder Zhang Yun was deposed knew that this was no longer realistic. At the 8th level of the foundation establishment stage, Mu Xing was killed by Qian Fei with one move. With this strength, let alone being eliminated, they would not be surprised even if they get the first place in this competition. Zhang Yun's results by then. Thinking about it, some elders looked at the third elder of Lingxian sect with some resentment. We all listened to you back then. The third elder of Lingxian sect did not say a word, but the elegant smile he had always maintained disappeared, and he sat in silence, looking at the other party's reaction. A trace of thought flashed across Zhang Yun's eyes. He has always paid attention to the other party. After all, this is a nascent soul stage. What he is not sure about now is whether the sect leader knows about the hidden strength of these three elders. It's like they are in tune with each other. As soon as Zhang Yunchang thought of the master of Lingxian sect, the latter's voice came to his ears. Boy, what's going on with your disciple Su Ming? Ming works very hard and never slackens off in practice. Hearing this, Zhang Yunchuan replied, in addition, he has a special physique and can quickly absorb the energy in the refining spirit stone, so he breaks through quickly. However, it can actually be faster, but the leader of Lingxian sect was confused. But there are not enough spirit stones. If there were enough spirit stones, Ming would have reached the peak of the foundation building stage. Zhang Yun suddenly felt aggrieved. Sect master, do you think the sect can allocate as many spiritual stones as possible to our 9th peak? We Ming. Roll. Before he could finish speaking, the leader of the Lingxian sect couldn't help but curse through his voice. Damn it, you think this sect master is blind, right? You just won 100,000 spirit stones, and you are still pretending to be wronged by this sect leader, but you don't have any spirit stones. The most important thing is that your disciples have defeated my second disciple. It's good that I didn't settle the score with him. Will I provide you with more spiritual stones from ninth peak? Do you really think that this sect master will not protect his shortcomings? Zhang Yun rubbed his nose in scolding and secretly scolded the other party for being stingy. His eyes continued to focus on Xiang Disciple Tower. After Su Ming dealt with Mu Sheng, he rushed all the way into the Disciple Tower. Many disciples saw him rushing towards him and quickly moved out of the way. They dare not stop this fierce man. There are 100 promotion places, and such a fierce person will definitely get one. At the stairs between the first and second floors of the Disciple Tower, Wu Xiaopeng and Yu Shuai were originally stopped by several foundation-building disciples from the 10th peak. But after seeing the scene of Su Ming killing Mu Sheng, these foundation-building disciples of the 10th peak immediately gave up. They cast a helpless look at their master Meng Zhong from afar on the high platform and rushed to the second floor. If they don't run away, it won't be them who are causing trouble for the 9th peak disciples, but Su Ming will be the one to do them. Meng Zhong looked ugly when he saw this scene. Before the disciple competition began, he specifically ordered his disciples who had reached the foundation building stage not to allow Zhang Yun's 3 disciples to advance. But right now, when that adult takes action, everything will be over. He thought comfortingly to himself, the great disciple competition is in full swing. After Su Ming showed his talent, many disciples took a detour when facing him. Wu Xiaopeng and Yu Shuai followed Su Ming and easily found Ling Qi and climbed to the top of the Disciple Tower without even needing to take action. In the end, the 3 ranked 8th, 9th, and 10th and successfully advanced. The first 7 were Wu Yang, who entered the tower first, and some of the chief disciples of the elders. After all, Su Ming is also Zhang Yun's chief disciple. Originally, Wu Yang and others did not take Su Ming into their eyes at all, but at this moment, their eyes showed deep fear. Wu Yang was a little lucky. Fortunately, Mu Sheng refused his help before. Otherwise, if he stayed, he might not be able to get a good deal in front of Su Ming. After Su Ming and the others reached the top, the next 90 places were decided after 2 hours. The top 100 disciples are determined through a competition. Zhang Yun's 3 disciples all entered the top 10, so they directly added 25 points to his elder ranking. There are 2 rounds of disciple competitions. The first round is worth 25 points. The extra points are based on 2 aspects. One is the results in the competition, and the other is progress. The 3 of Su Ming are in the top 10, and their results needless to say. As for progress, Su Ming was still in the Qi refining stage more than a month ago, and now he is in the 8th level of the foundation building stage. It is impossible not to give full marks in this first round. Together with the previous 50 points and 75 points, Zhang Yun ranked first. And the difference from before is that this time the first place is no longer tied. The second and third place elders and third elders of the Lingxian sect scored 70 and 69 points respectively. Their disciples' scores were fine, but their disciples made little progress and were not able to make full progress points. Looking at Zhang Yun's name, who was ranked first on the stone pillar, many people present, including Meng Zhong, looked gloomy. At the end of the first round, Zhang Yun's score can be said to have basically locked the top 3. With Su Ming's strength, no one doubts that he can enter the top 10 in the second round. As long as one disciple enters the top 10, Zhang Yun will get at least 15 extra points. Coupled with the special nature of this competition, each elder will receive additional points for the number of his disciples who advance to the top 50. Zhang Yun has a total of 3 apprentices, and one of them enters the top 50, which is a 1/3 promotion rate. This can at least add a few points. After comprehensive calculation, Zhang Yun's final score will definitely exceed 90 points. The second elder, who is currently ranked 4th, only has 65 points. Even in the second round, the maximum score is 90 points, therefore, there is no suspense about Zhang Yun's top 3. The position of elder is saved. Zhang Yun also knew this and felt a little relieved. After traveling to the present, this was a big problem that had been weighing on his heart, and it was finally resolved. Looking at the 3 apprentices in the venue, he couldn't help but give a thumbs up. Seeing it from a distance, Su Ming and the other 3 couldn't help but smile. the first round ended, and after a half-hour rest, the second round started in full swing. The second round of the disciple competition used the most traditional 1v1 duel in the arena. Due to time constraints, this disciple competition directly adopted a single-game final system. The winners advance to the top 50, and the losers are eliminated, a decisive battle. As for the specific ranking of the 50 winning disciples, the scores will be personally assessed by the leader of the Lingxian sect based on their performance in the duel. Finally, the final ranking of the top 50 disciples was determined based on their scores. First group. The leader of the Lingxian sect stood on the high platform. On a small wooden table in front of him, there was a bamboo tube for drawing lots that had been prepared. He stretched out his hand, pulled out 2 lottery tickets, and revealed the bottom of the lottery tickets in front of everyone. Su Ming. Lu Cheng. Chapter 74, Fatty Wu appears. You are listening at novelfold.audio. Seeing these 2 names, there was a commotion in the venue. At the beginning of the second round, Su Ming, a fierce guy, was about to take the field. Under the eyes of everyone, Su Ming walked to the center of the venue with a calm face, where he had already drawn lines and vacated a fighting area. At the same time, a young man with black hair and a pale face also walked up. Judging from his appearance, it was obvious that he had no confidence in this duel. Many people present expressed sympathy. Many of Lu Cheng's disciples recognize him as one of the few disciples in the sect who does not have a master. In Lingxian sect, not every disciple has a disciple. Some disciples lacked qualifications and were not favored by the elders, so they could only start as handymen and work their way up. This Lu Cheng is a typical example. The third level of the foundation building stage is considered very good among the disciples, but in the second round of the disciple competition, it was a bit unsatisfactory, especially when meeting a fierce person like Su Ming. Duel. Seeing the 2 people standing still in the venue, the leader of the Lingxian sect immediately waved his hand. Start. Brush. As soon as he finished speaking, the black-haired young man Lu Cheng, who had turned pale just a second ago, suddenly jumped up and rushed out like a cheetah, clawing at Su Ming with both claws. The fierce offensive shocked many people present. I didn't expect that the other party's face, which turned pale a second ago, would suddenly explode this second. Su Ming, on the other hand, looked calm in the face of this sudden incident. He is too familiar with this kind of opponent who shows weakness first. He took a step forward with cirrus steps, turned sideways to dodge Lu Cheng's violent attack with his claws, and at the same time stretched out his right palm to push the opponent's abdomen accurately. Boom! There was a loud explosion in the air, and the powerful force blasted Lu Cheng's entire body directly out of the fighting area. It wasn't until Lu Qingfei came out that many people in the field realized what was going on and looked at Su Ming in the battle arena in surprise. It's over. They were confused. The whole process just now was completely electric. They only vaguely saw Su Ming duck out of the way, and then, the black-haired young man was blown out. Isn't this too fast? Su Ming, win. On the high platform, the leader of Lingxian sect took a deep look at Su Ming, and then at Zhang Yun who was smiling next to him, sighing secretly in his heart, this guy really has a good apprentice. Thinking about it, he also commented, when facing an opponent with a lower level, don't underestimate the enemy, deal with it calmly, and defeat the enemy with one move. Su Ming, 99 points this round. Wow. As soon as these words were spoken, there was an uproar in the venue. Even the elders looked surprised. Disciple competitions once had a similar process where the leader of the Lingxian sect personally scored. Out of 100, there are very few disciples who can score above 90 in his words, 99 points. This is the second time they meet. The last time, it dates back to decades ago, when the chief disciple of the Lingxian sect leader, Lu Lei, Meng Xingwen. After the first duel, the leader of the Lingxian sect also continued to draw the second set of lots. It was another duel with a huge disparity in strength. Lu Lei, this is the chief disciple of the great elder of Lingxian sect. Before Su Ming appeared, he was one of the few talented disciples in Lingxian sect who could fight with Mu Sheng and Wu Yang. As for his opponent, he was just a fourth-level disciple of the foundation establishment stage. No surprise, Lu Lei won easily. The action is crisp and the strength is crushing. Lu Lei, 91 points. But hearing the comments from the leader of the Lingxian sect, many disciples in the field were surprised. In this duel, the opponent was also eliminated with one move, and the opponent was a 4th-level disciple of the Foundation Establishment Stage at a higher level. How come the score was so much worse than Su Ming? However, the elders present were not surprised. Although he defeated the enemy with one move, Lu Lei's opponent was much inferior to Lu Qing before. Lu Cheng's sudden outburst before was obviously carefully planned. It was very sudden. As long as he didn't calm down a little, the rhythm of the battle would be disrupted easily. On the other hand, Lu Lei's opponent didn't even have the courage to take the initiative to attack, and was directly crushed and defeated by Lu Lei with a direct move. Although his realm was one level higher, it actually did not pose any threat to Lu Lei. If Lu Lei faced Lu Qing just now, he might not be able to do so easily. Of course, part of the factor was considering Su Ming as a new disciple. For a new disciple who has just joined the sect less than 2 months ago, it is impossible not to get extra points for his performance, and Lu Lei has been a member of the sect for almost 10 years, so this kind of performance is what he should have. The draw showdown continues. Soon there were more than 10 duels in a row. Basically, they are crushed by combat power. Everyone gradually discovered that the results of these draws were mostly between stronger disciples and weaker disciples. The strong confrontation did not appear at all. Everyone was not stupid. They looked at the Lingxian sect master's lottery bucket and understood clearly, but no one said a word. After all, entering the top 50 is to represent the Lingxian sect in the sect competition. This kind of external battle must send out the most elite group of disciples. If you don't have enough strength, you have to admit it. But for the disciples whose strength is in the middle range, this is good news. Although they can't abuse food, they won't encounter opponents who are too strong against them. If you fight against opponents of the same level, there is still hope for promotion. Soon there were 20 consecutive duels, and when it came to the 21st draw, everyone stared at the 2 more lots drawn by the leader of the Gaotai Lingxian sect. Yang Wan. That I saw the name signed on the first note. It's senior brother Yang Wan. He finally appears. I heard that senior brother Yang Wan just broke through to the 7th level of the Foundation Establishment Stage 2 months ago. With his strength, he will definitely advance. Who is the opponent? That there was some commotion in the venue, and everyone looked at the name on the second signature. Little Fatty Wu. The moment they saw this name, everyone was stunned. Reacting quickly, they all looked at Wu Xiaopeng on the sidelines, who was teasing 2 little bear cubs with Su Ming and a girl. Many people were jealous when they saw the bear cub, a cub of a golden elixir stage spiritual beast. Is it my turn? Wu Xiaopeng also saw the lottery on the high platform, raised his eyebrows and said, "Senior brother, help me take care of Wu Xiaoxiong." Wu Xiaoxiong was the name he gave his bear cub. Go. Su Ming nodded and held the 2 cubs in his arms. His dragon spirit root made the 2 bear cubs naturally fear him, and they hugged him without shouting or yelling, and they were extremely honest. On the high platform. 9th Elder, it seems our apprentices are about to collide. The elegant 3rd Elder of Lingxian sect looked at Zhang Yun with a smile. Then you have to ask the 3rd Elder's apprentice to show mercy. Zhang Yun smiled lightly and said, "My 2nd apprentice is going on stage for the first time, so I guess he will be a little uncomfortable." The 3rd Elder of the Lingxian sect smiled and said, "New disciples will be a little nervous when they go on stage for the first time, so just treat it as exercise." 2. Zhang Yun looked down at Wu Xiaopeng, who was already on the stage, and said nothing. The elders smiled secretly when they saw this. You can finally understand the feeling of being defeated by your apprentice. The venue below. Brother Wan, come on, kill this little fat guy in one move. Give him a hard punch. Let him understand what kind of elites those who have made it this far are. That's right. This guy who advances while lying down must be taught a lesson. As soon as he walked onto the field, Wu Xiaopeng, who was still a little nervous with so many people staring at him, suddenly felt unhappy when he heard the shouts of these disciples. Fatty. Bastard, if you call me chubby, just call me chubby. Why do you want me to be taller? I hate to say it. Also, what does it mean to advance while lying down? I just haven't made a move yet. Wu Xiaopeng glared at the disciples around him who spoke. Hey, this little fat guy is still staring at us. Bah, you're going to give a damn to a guy who got promoted by relying on his senior brother? Little fat man, if you have any sense, get off the stage and don't embarrass yourself up there. His glare immediately caused more disciples to shout. Wu Xiaopeng was a little angry, and the tension he had just been completely dissipated by his anger. Now he wanted to rush down and beat these people who were shouting from the sidelines. Little fat man, where are you looking? At this time, a voice suddenly came from in front of him. Opposite him, a handsome young man in white robes stepped onto the field and looked at him with a chuckle. What did you call me? Wu Xiaopeng's face darkened. Yang Wani was startled and smiled contemptuously. Why, you can't bear to be called fat. Little fat? You. Wu Xiaopeng became even angrier when he heard what he said. He couldn't help but clenched his fists tightly, and his face turned red with anger. Phew. Seeing his angry look, Yang Wan couldn't help but laugh. What, little fat man, do you want to punch me? Come on, give senior brother a quick punch. He pointed at his handsome face and said with a smile, your senior brother, I have an itchy face recently. If you can hit me, senior brother, I will call you little fat man, and from now on I will call you fat man. Wu Xiaopeng didn't say a word, just clenched it tightly and his eyes widened. Don't hold it in, little fat man. Come hit me quickly. Yang Wan couldn't help laughing when he saw how he was holding his breath. He didn't have any grudges against Wu Xiaopeng, but when he was in the disciple tower just now, Wu Xiaopeng followed Su Ming and acted arrogantly. He was on the 4th floor when he happened to bump into it and had to take a detour. He should have been able to reach the top within a dozen, but he suddenly fell to just outside the 20. Now that we are facing Wu Xiaopeng in a duel in the ring, how can we not vent our anger? The duel begins. At this time, the voice of the leader of Lingxian sect sounded from above. Okay, senior brother, I. Yang Wan spoke immediately, but just now. Boom. Suddenly, there was a terrifying airflow in front of him, which directly and forcefully interrupted him, causing his whole body to be shaken and tilted backward uncontrollably. Chapter 75, Who Dares to Scream Again, I Will Transform Him. You are listening at novelfold.audio. Before he could react, he felt an extremely overbearing pressure coming towards him. A fat fist also appeared in front of him at the same time. Not good. Yang Wan's expression changed drastically, and he quickly raised his palms to cover his face. Boom. But the terrifying power of the fat fist directly forced his palms to press on his face, sending his whole body flying in a parabola. Before many of the disciples present could react, they saw a figure being blasted out of the field, drawing a beautiful parabola and landing in the open space of the square 100 meters away, causing a cloud of smoke and dust. Looking inside, Yang Wan, whose entire face had been crushed out of shape, was lying unconscious. I hate it when people call me little fat guy. If anyone dares to call me again, I will transform him. At the same time, an angry roar rang out. Wu Xiaopeng in the venue was now surrounded by Golden Overlord Qi. Like a fighting overlord, the whole place fell into a brief silence. Wow! Then there was an uproar that reached the sky. Shock, disbelief, eyes with similar emotions focused on Wu Xiaopeng. One punch. He actually knocked away Yang Wan, who was at the 7th level of foundation building, with one punch. What the hell is this little fat guy? Countless disciples were shocked. The elders on the high platform were also stunned at this moment. The elegant smile that the 3rd elder of Lingxian sect had on his face a second ago was now frozen on his face. You are still inexperienced and can be angered so easily. That means your opponent is too weak, otherwise you will be in trouble. Zhang Yun suddenly sighed. When the 3rd elder of Lingxian sect heard this, his stiff face suddenly twitched. In other words, the opponent is too weak. If he hadn't been sane, he would have really wanted to get up and explode right now, chopping this guy into pieces. The corners of the mouths of all the elders present also twitched. Is he still weak at level 7 of the foundation building stage? What kind of god is your disciple? Etc. Suddenly he realized something, and he quickly felt the aura erupting from Wu Xiaopeng below him. Fifth level of foundation building period. All the elders' eyes widened. What the hell? This little fat Wu actually also built a foundation. Even the leader of the Lingxian sect looked stunned. After the 2 exchange meetings, Wu Xiaopeng specially asked someone to investigate. It was found out that he was just a registered disciple who was not wanted by an ordinary deacon of their sect Master Peak. According to the realm registered at that time, he was only at the first level of qi refining stage. Later in the exchange meeting, Wu Xiaopeng had been promoted, but he wouldn't be able to build his foundation so quickly, right? In his opinion, Wu Xiaopeng should still be at the peak of his qi refining stage at this moment, and was in the stage of preparing to build his foundation. Being able to advance to this round is a sign of Su Ming's success in the previous round, therefore, he was preparing to eliminate Wu Xiaopeng. After all, it would be a waste of quota for a disciple who has not even reached the foundation building stage to represent their sect in the sect competition. His idea was that Yang Wan defeated Wu Xiaopeng, but right now, after looking at Zhang Yun, who was rubbing his brows and seemed very disappointed with Wu Xiaopeng's performance, he couldn't help but twitch the corner of his mouth despite the fact that he was the leader of the Lingxian sect. How did you train this guy so that everyone can fly and break through? After calming down, the leader of the Lingxian sect calmly spoke to the person below. Wu Xiaopeng wins this duel. The explosive power is amazing. The power of one punch can shake the peak of the foundation establishment stage. This level can be achieved by reaching the 5th level of the foundation establishment stage. It's extremely difficult. But I'm too irritable and can get irritated by my opponent with just a few words. Wu Xiaopeng, 88 points. Hiss. As soon as these words came out, there was a gasp in the venue. It's not because of this score, but because of the punch Wu Xiaopeng just made, was it able to shake the peak of the foundation establishment stage. Doesn't this mean that the Wu Xiaopeng in front of him already has the strength to fight against the peak of the foundation building stage? When Wu Xiaopeng heard this comment, he couldn't help scratching his head. It's much lower than my senior brother. Will the master? Subconsciously he glanced at the high platform and saw Zhang Yun's dark face. Wu Xiaopeng shrank his head and hurried back to Su Ming and the others. On the high platform, Zhang Yun looked helpless and funny at his stupidity. He was actually not that disappointed with Wu Xiaopeng's performance. It's just that being so easily angered is really not a good thing for a monk. In addition, the power of Wu Xiaopeng's punch just now made him look thoughtful, because under normal conditions, Wu Xiaopeng's fists are not so powerful, and the punch he just punched was obviously beyond the limit. Could it be that because of anger, it exploded with greater power? Zhang Yun looked thoughtful. If Wu Xiaopeng's strength will increase due to emotions, then it is necessary to investigate further. If he could control it, it might be a big improvement for Wu Xiaopeng. The competition continues, after a few more duels. Wu Yang. Yu Shui'er. The 2 lots were revealed to the head of the Lingxian sect. Seeing these 2 names, the disciples were stunned. Everyone in Wu Yang knows each other, but the key point is his opponent, Fish Water. Who is this? Many disciples looked confused. The disciples who can enter the top 100 are basically well known in the sect. Even the former Wu Xiaopeng had made a name for himself in previous exchange meetings. But this was the first time they heard about this fish. Is there such a disciple in the sect? But soon, as a beautiful girl with long black hair and an ordinary dress walked out behind Su Ming and Wu Xiaopeng, the disciples suddenly realized, I bet it's this village girl. They had all heard of the 3rd disciple Zhang Yun had taken from the village outside the sect, but this was the first time they heard his name. Speaking of which, this girl's temperament and appearance, many male monks hadn't paid much attention before, but now they saw Yu Shui'er walking out and realized that this village girl seemed a bit charming. On the high platform, when Zhang Yun saw this group of draws, he couldn't help but glance at the leader of the Lingxian sect next to him. With a strange look on his face, the leader of the Lingxian sect noticed his gaze, but did not look at him and just smiled faintly. This grouping was deliberately arranged by him. We also need to let Zhang Yun experience what it feels like for his apprentice to be hanged and beaten. It's not okay to be so smooth all the time. At the venue below, Wu Yang and Yu Shui'er had already entered the venue. Looking at Yu Shui'er in front of him, Wu Yang also had a hint of surprise in his eyes. He really hadn't noticed before that the 3rd disciple of the 9th elder looked so handsome. Senior brother Wu Yang, please be merciful. Don't hurt this junior sister you. Yes, even though she is from the 9th peak, this junior sister seems to be a nice person, so please be gentle. Before it even started, many disciples spoke up around the venue. Wu Yang rolled his eyes. Do you want you to tell me? Such a beautiful junior sister must not be harsh. After clearing his throat, Wu Yang spoke in what he thought was his best voice. Junior sister you, senior brother doesn't want to hurt you. Look, why don't you walk out of the combat area by yourself? That Yu Shui'er ignored him and just looked up at the leader of the Lingxian sect on the high platform above, obviously waiting for the showdown to begin. The corner of Wu Yang's mouth twitched slightly, but he still kept smiling and said, Senior sister you, senior brother really doesn't want to hurt you. Under normal circumstances, senior brother, I wouldn't mind sparring with you. But this disciple, senior brother Dabi, cannot be careless. Once he takes action, it's hard to guarantee the importance. Can you please let me invite you to dinner? Yu Shui'er ignored him and was still looking at the high platform. Wu Yang's face twitched at this moment. The duel begins. The voice of the leader of Lingxian sect fell. It seems that you, junior sister, really want to compete with me, senior brother. In that case. Wu Yang spoke immediately, but did not finish his words. Boom. 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 A water aura suddenly erupted around him, and a large amount of water instantly filled the entire battlefield. Chapter 76, All Promoted. You are listening at novelfold.audio. Yu Shui'er, who looked gentle and quiet 1 second ago, suddenly exploded with aura, her long hair fluttering, and her whole body was suspended in the air like a goddess of war. The water aura around him surged out in desperate circles, spreading everywhere and sweeping the entire venue in an instant. The water surges and the site seems to turn into a lake. Wu Yang stepped on the ground with his feet, as if he had fallen into water at this moment. Looking at this scene, he was shocked. What's going on with this beautiful junior sister in front of me? The peak of the foundation building period. Feeling the aura emanating from Yu Shui'er, Wu Yang couldn't believe it at all. Oh my god! How is this possible? How long has this Yu Shui'er joined the sect? How can he have the peak cultivation level of the foundation establishment stage? Countless disciples present were also shocked. A second ago, they were thinking about protecting this beautiful junior sister, but this second they suddenly realized that this junior sister seemed to be more than a little stronger than them. The peak of the foundation building period. Except for a few chief disciples among the entire sect's disciples, few have reached this level. On the high platform. The leader of the Lingxian sect and the elders were also shocked at this moment. What the hell? This village girl apprentice who was brought into the sect by Zhang Yun not long ago is actually at the peak of the foundation building stage. What a joke. Is there such a disciple near their sect? Such unexpected water spirit energy, this fish water, could it be the root body of water spirit? With the purity of this water spiritual energy, it is at least a top-grade water spiritual root. Where did this disciple come from? Seeing the astonishing water aura in the field below, the elders were in disbelief and couldn't help but look at Zhang Yun. Confused. Extremely confused. They couldn't understand it at all. When they learned that Zhang Yun had accepted a village girl from a village near the sect as his apprentice, they thought the 9th elder was overly sympathetic. After all, when immortal cultivators like them set foot in surrounding villages, they often attract countless people to kneel down and beg to become their disciples. Occasionally, they would recruit a few close friends to the peak to serve as handyman disciples or something like that. They don't quite understand someone like Zhang Yun who directly accepts him as a disciple. They just feel that this guy has set his threshold for accepting disciples too low. But right now, a village girl could actually have such a water spirit root body, and her cultivation level has reached the peak of the foundation building stage. Is there any mistake? How did Zhang Yun do it? Even the leader of the Lingxian sect looked incomprehensible. Why are the apprentices this guy has taken on more perverted than the others? Another thing that made his heart sink uncontrollably was, his third disciple, Wu Yang, was a top-grade fire spirit. This physique is not afraid of other monks, only those with equivalent water spiritual roots or powerful water spiritual energy, water overcomes fire. At the same level, Wu Yang's high-grade fire spirit roots would be completely crushed. As if to confirm his idea, Yu Shui'er in the venue below took action, and patches of water spiritual energy turned into water flow, continuously sweeping toward Wu Yang. Wu Yang also spread out the flames transformed from fire spirit energy around his body to resist, but in front of the strong water around him, everything was extinguished as soon as he touched it. For a moment, he was like a lonely boat in the sea under a violent storm, being tossed around by the current. He wanted to resist, but the fire aura around him was extinguished as soon as it appeared. He wanted to rush out of the current and get closer to Yu Shui'er, but Yu Shui'er's water aura was as majestic as the sea, completely sweeping over the entire place, leaving him unable to find even a single gap. Just like that for a few seconds. No. Under Wu Yang's frustrated and unwilling shouts, Yu Shui'er controlled the large flow of water and forced him out of the venue. The outcome has been decided. The whole place was silent. Wu Yang, this disciple of the sect leader, who had the peak cultivation level of the foundation establishment stage, unexpectedly, was defeated. In addition to Mu Sheng, the two outstanding disciples of the sect leader who participated in the disciple competition failed to advance. No one expected it. At the same time, all eyes in the audience were involuntarily focused on Zhang Yun on the high platform. The two disciples of the sect leader were all killed by this guy's disciples. First was Mu Sheng, who was knocked unconscious by Su Mingqian in the first round and still hasn't woken up yet. Now Wu Yang was defeated by Yu Shui'er on the spot. Is this something to do with the sect leader? Facing everyone's gaze, Zhang Yun touched his nose. He didn't want to eliminate the disciples of the sect master. After all, he had to save some face for the sect master, right? But he didn't know what to do. Zhang Yun glanced at the sect leader beside him, helpless. When he just saw the arrangements made by the leader of Lingxian sect, he was a little speechless. He actually arranged for him, the third disciple who was the most restrained by Wu Yang, to face Wu Yang. Wasn't this asking Wu Yang to kill him? He actually wanted to remind him just now, but the sect leader completely ignored him. Looking at Zhang Yun, who looked helpless, the leader of the Lingxian sect couldn't help but twitching as he remembered that he had deliberately arranged this duel before. Not looking at Zhang Yun, this is really shooting yourself in the foot. Of course, he would not admit that there was something wrong with his arrangement. The main problem is that this bastard Zhang Yun has such a talented apprentice, but he doesn't report it in advance. Thinking of the leader of Lingxian sect made him angry. First Su Ming showed off his talents, then Wu Xiaopeng showed off his power, and now here comes such a weakling. You, a genius disciple, couldn't have told this sect leader in advance. If we knew it in advance, could this sect leader arrange it like this? MMP, you just want to trick me. The more I thought about it, the sharper the Lingxian sect leader looked at Zhang Yun. Zhang Yun's mouth twitched when he saw this, but he quickly shrank away and did not look at a certain sect leader. Snort, that the leader of the Lingxian sect secretly snorted, then regained his composure and looked down at Yu Shui'er. In this duel, Yu Shui'er wins. The water aura in one hand is majestic, and the water control completely controls the opponent in the palm of his hand, easily defeating the enemy. Yu Shui'er, 99 points. Wow! As soon as these words came out, there was a burst of exclamation in the audience. Another high score of 99 points. This is the first time that the sect leader can achieve such a score in one day. For a moment, many people couldn't help but look at Zhang Yun, Su Ming, Wu Xiaopeng, and Yu Shui'er. Only at this moment did they realize that everyone in the ninth peak was a monster. Zhang Yun, who was able to defeat the spiritual brown bear in the golden core stage at the foundation stage, with a body of dragon spirit roots and a golden dragon shadow in his hand. Su Ming easily defeated Mu Sheng. Although he is fat, his explosive power is terrifying, and he can transform his 7th level foundation building senior brother with one punch and send him flying. Coupled with this, Yu Shui'er, who has an elegant and charming temperament, has the dignified Wu Yang in the palm of his hand. Fear. This ninth peak is simply too terrifying. The most frightening thing is that everyone discovered that all members of ninth peak were promoted in this competition. Not only were the 3 disciples promoted, but also Zhang Yun. This disciple's results can already lock him in as the number 1 elder this year. This result made the great elder of Lingxian sect look a little gloomy. The third elder of Lingxian sect also frowned. Normally, the number 1 elder of the year would only receive a certain tilt in resources. But this year is the year when the immortal secret realm will be opened. If you get first place, you will also get a place to enter the immortal secret realm. As mentioned before, the immortal secret realm can accommodate 100 golden elixir stage and 500 lower realm monks to enter. 500 people are the quota for disciples, and these 100 golden elixir stage people are the quota for elders. The 6 states in the Southern Territory shared these quotas, and Nanyan Prefecture received 12 elder quotas. In the next sect competition, while the disciples are competing for the 50 disciples quota, the elders of the golden elixir stage of each sect in Nanyan Prefecture are also competing for the elders quota. Of these 12 places, 7 places need to be competed in the sect competition. There are still 5 places, which are directly recommended and allocated to the most powerful 5 sects in Nanyan Prefecture. Lingxian sect got 1. This quota will be obtained by the elder who ranks first this year. Right now, it already belongs to Zhang Yun. At the end of the first round, although Zhang Yun got a perfect score of 75 points, the first elder and third elder of Lingxian sect were not really worried, because even if Ming takes first place in the second round, it will only give Zhang Yun 15 points at most. Even if the promotion rate points are added, Zhang Yun will only get 91 points at most, although they only had 70 and 69 points at the end of the last round. No matter what happens in this round, they will get at least 23 points guaranteed, which means that the final score will not be less than 92 points. This is considered a tacit understanding between them and the leader of Lingxian sect. Although he didn't say it clearly, the quota for being sent to the immortal secret realm had already been decided by the two of them, the 2 peak elders at the golden core stage. This was the case the first 2 times when the immortal secret realm was opened. This time, because of Zhang Yun's special characteristics, he got high scores before, but both of them thought it was nothing. After all, Zhang Yun's performance is enough to be an elder, and he must retain his position as an elder no matter what. Full marks after the first round. Firstly, Zhang Yun's apprentice Ming is indeed qualified, and secondly, it is to prevent Zhang Yun's apprentice from falling behind in the second round. Make sure he stays in the top 3, but who would have thought that Zhang Yun's 2 new disciples would show such strength in this second round? Now that all 3 disciples have been promoted, with a 100% promotion rate, Zhang Yun's score can no longer be controlled at 91 points. In this situation, it is unreasonable not to give full marks. After all, no elder has been able to advance all of his disciples in the disciple competitions of previous sect competitions. The sect master made a mistake, that the first elder and the third elder of the Lingxian sect were in gloomy moods. They glanced at the master of the Lingxian sect and sighed inwardly. The leader of Lingxian sect glanced at these 2 people from the corner of his eye. Did he make a mistake? That's right, he really didn't expect Zhang Yun's second and third apprentices to be so fierce. But sometimes, it may not be good to keep doing certain things step by step. Change is a good thing. Glancing at Zhang Yun, the leader of Lingxian sect's mouth curved slightly. Chapter 77, The competition is over. You are listening at novelfold.audio. The disciple competition continues. There were no surprises in subsequent competitions. In the draw controlled by the leader of the Lingxian sect, the disciples with higher realms basically won. But it came to the last match. The duel between 2 disciples at the 6th level of the foundation establishment stage was very exciting. It ended until one party was exhausted. It was considered the most suspenseful match in the entire disciple competition. With the end of this duel, the 50 duels have also been completed. 50 disciples who had defeated their opponents and obtained quotas were gathered in the center of the square. This is the final ranking of this disciple competition. The top 50 disciples can then go to the sect master peak to receive the spirit stones. On the high platform, the leader of Lingxian sect waved his hand. A long scroll was spread out, with 50 names and scores clearly arranged on it. The top 2 were tied for first place, and it was no surprise that Ming and Yu Shuaer, who scored 99 points, won. Following closely behind were the chief disciples of several elders of the Lingxian sect, all with scores above 90. Then there is Wu Xiaopeng's score of 88, which happens to be ranked 10th, all 3 disciples entered the top 10. Seeing this scene, the people present couldn't help but look at Zhang Yun on the high platform, with wonder in their eyes. 1 elder and 3 disciples entered the top 10. Looking at the previous disciple competitions of the Lingxian sect, this is the first time. Looking at the stone pillar next to him, Zhang Yun's name finally ranked first with a perfect score of 100 points. Even those who didn't like Zhang Yun had to admit it, deserved. From the apprenticeship ceremony to now, in less than 2 months, 3 evil disciples have been trained. The elders present thought that it would be difficult for them to train even one of them, let alone 3 of them. Zhang Yun didn't care about the ranking at the moment, because it had been determined, and he was currently thinking about the subsequent steps of condensing the golden elixir. Before the disciple competition, Su Ming and Wu Xiaopang relied on a wave of impact from the Qi gathering tower to reach the 8th level of the foundation building stage and the 5th level of the foundation building stage respectively. The returned energy brought by this made the golden elixir in his dantian almost as big as fist size. He could feel that it was not far away from being able to completely condense. Next, absorb some energy and cooperate with it to start condensation. This year's sect competition will be officially held in the central part of Nanyan Prefecture in the 13th day. Then we will rest for 5 days. After 5 days, we will officially set off. At this time, as the master of Lingxian sect fell down, the disciple competition officially came to an end. Zhang Yun let out a breath, jumped down from the high platform, and came to the side of Su Ming and the other 3 people in the field. Master, the 3 of them immediately came forward. Well done. Zhang Yun gave them a thumbs up and praised them without hesitation. You are all great today. If I want to give you a score, it will be full marks. Su Ming and the 3 of them were all smiling. As teenagers and girls, they still hope to hear such praise from Zhang Yun. This is the reward the master has prepared for you. Take a look. Zhang Yun took out 3 storage rings that had been prepared in advance and handed them to the 3 of them respectively. Su Ming, the 3 of them were startled. This is, but when they saw what was inside, their eyes lit up. Flying sword. Brush. 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 3 flying swords of different colors appeared in front of them. These 3 flying swords are carefully selected by me, and they can suitably match your aura. I was focusing on training before, and I haven't had time to teach you how to fly with a sword. Today, I will officially teach you how to fly with a sword. Zhang Yun said with a smile, turned over his hand and took out a flying sword. While demonstrating, he said, you have already established the foundation, and it is not difficult for you to use spiritual energy to attach. The key point of wielding a sword is to attach spiritual energy to it. It attaches to the flying sword like this. After a simple demonstration of flying with a sword, Zhang Yun said with a smile, the overall process should not be difficult for you. Try it yourself. Don't fly too high at the beginning. Try it first at 3 or 4 meters in the air. Understood, Master. Hearing this, Su Ming and the others couldn't wait to try it. Seeing Zhang Yun and others learning to wield swords at the side of the venue, many of the foundation building disciples present had their mouths twitching. Damn it, how fast is your breakthrough? You even forgot to learn how to handle a sword? He is already at the 5th level, 8th level, or even the peak level of foundation building, and he has just started to learn. For the new disciples in the field who had just joined the sect during the previous apprenticeship ceremony, they all looked at Su Ming with envy in their eyes. I think at that time, Su Ming was just a useless person in their eyes, far inferior to them. Unexpectedly, in just over a month, he has become the #1 disciple in the entire sect. Looking back at the state where they were still in the Qi refining stage, they felt a little bitter for a moment. How can the gap between people be so huge? At the same time, I felt a little regretful. Perhaps if they become disciples of the 9th elder during the disciple recruitment ceremony, it is always possible to reach the foundation building stage, not to mention being like Su Ming at this moment, right? After all, the 3 disciples of Zhang Yun and even the worst Wu Xiaopang are already at the 5th level of foundation building. The more I think about them, the more uncomfortable I feel, especially Huang Yong. At that time, he was the first person Zhang Yun asked to accept during the apprenticeship ceremony. But he chose Meng Zhong, the 10th elder. if this ninth elder had been chosen at that time. Thinking of this, Huang Yong suddenly understood junior brother Nie Ji who ran away before. Why are you still standing there? Why don't you come here quickly? At this time, a cold snort suddenly came from his ears. Looking at Meng Zhong with a gloomy expression, Huang Yong trembled, not daring to look over there anymore and hurried back. Meng Zhong felt quite unhappy when he saw this. Nie Ji failed to change his family before and ran away. This was a great shame and humiliation in his eyes. Now I saw that Huang Yong seemed to have this idea, and I was very annoyed. At the same time, I was also secretly vigilant, and there must never be another example like Nie Ji. Looking at Zhang Yun, who was not far away teaching his disciple how to wield a sword, his face was gloomy, but he quickly thought of something and groaned in his heart, just wait, you won't be able to jump around for too long. I thought about taking all the disciples and leaving immediately. Zhang Yun felt Meng Zhong's gaze, glanced at the other persons leaving back, and thought to himself, the next sect competition will be a good opportunity to kill someone. One of Meng Zhong's disciples also entered the top 50. As a master, he will definitely go to this sect competition. At that time, finished the other party. Just as he was thinking about it, he suddenly felt another line of sight falling on him, and he couldn't help but look in another direction. There, the elegant third elder of Lingxian sect was looking at him with a smile on his face. Ninth elder, are you interested in going to the peak for a cup of tea? The venue is currently at the foot of the third peak, and the other party's residence can be reached from the mountain road next to it. Zhang Yun glanced at the other party and shook his head. Sorry, third elder. I have something to do next, so I won't bother you. That's such a shame. The third elder of the Lingxian sect still had that elegant smile on his face. The ninth elder can come at any time if you have free time in the future. I will keep the tea from the third peak for you. After saying that, he didn't stay any longer and turned around to climb up to the third peak. Looking at his back, Zhang Yun narrowed his eyes slightly. He was a little confused about this third elder who had hidden his strength. In addition, it is not certain whether the sect leader knows that the other party hides his strength. It's good to know. If you don't know, Zhang Yun took a deep breath. I was thinking about it, should I disclose this matter to the sect leader? But thinking about it, he still shook his head. After all, the sect asked him how he knew, but he couldn't answer. A person at the peak of the foundation building stage can see a nascent soul stage, which is suspicious no matter how you look at it. He doesn't want his golden finger to be exposed. We have to break through the golden elixir as soon as possible. Zhang Yun thought, when you reach the golden core stage, the immortal eye technique will be able to see through these nascent soul stages. Turning back from his thoughts, Zhang Yun looked at Su Ming and the others who had already tried to hover in the air with swords, and said, Come, I will take you to fly for a while. Su Ming and the others nodded. Zhang Yun immediately flew up with his sword and flew out of the square at controlled speed. Su Ming and the other three also rose up with Yu Jian, following closely behind him. Su Ming and Wu Xiaopeng followed closely, but Yu Shuai was gradually pulled away some distance. As a mermaid, she was not used to the feeling of flying in the air. The whole movement was cautious, not daring to speed up at all. Zhang Yun noticed this scene, glanced forward and pointed at a big tree. Did you see that big tree in front of you? When you get there, I will start to accelerate. Fly all the way to the foot of the sect master peak. Wait, the one who arrives last will be punished as a teacher. Su Ming and the others tensed up when they heard this, especially Yu Shuai. The tree was only more than 10 meters away from Zhang Yun, and it had arrived in less than 2 seconds. Here we go. Before she could think about it, Zhang Yun had already begun to speed up and gallop into the distance. Su Ming and Wu Xiaopeng also speeded up, and she was shaking a little while stepping on the flying sword, but seeing the three people pulling her further and further away, she became a little anxious, and immediately bit her silver teeth. Do my best. As soon as the little foot stomped, a large amount of water spiritual energy immediately gathered on the flying sword and began to accelerate forward. When Yu Shuai stepped on the flying sword, she felt that her delicate body began to sway from side to side, as if she was about to fall at any time. This imbalance made her face turn pale and she couldn't help but close her eyes. Just when she thought she was about to fall, she waited for a while and found that she was still standing on the flying sword. Her feet were wrapped in spiritual energy and she stood on the flying sword, completely connected. The swaying sensation she imagined was just her upper body shaking. It doesn't seem like it will fall down. Yushuaya raised her eyebrows and looked at Su Ming and Wu Xiaopeng in front of her, who were being pulled closer as she accelerated. Suddenly I felt like I could surpass them. The water aura exploded at that moment, driving the flying sword under his feet to draw a blue tail in the air and shoot forward quickly. Su Ming and the two people in front didn't have time to react, and saw a blue stream of light passing by, far surpassing them. This. Su Ming and Wu Xiaopeng were shocked. What's going on with junior sister Shue'er? You were clearly pulled away by them just now, why did you suddenly get angry? Without thinking too much, the two of them quickly accelerated, but they found that as they accelerated, the blue stream of light transformed into Shue'er in front of them also continued to accelerate, and it was getting faster and faster. Under their eyes, it was even about to catch up with the master. I go. Zhang Yun, who was flying at the front, also felt the fluctuation of water aura behind him. He was startled when he saw the blue stream of light approaching like a sharp arrow, and aura erupted under his feet, and he quickly accelerated, from 30% speed at the beginning, to 50% speed, to 70% speed. In the end, he had to fly a certain distance at full speed to prevent Shue'er from catching up, arriving at the foot of the sect master peak. Zhang Yun couldn't help but exhale as he saw Shue'er flying in front of him within 2 seconds. This girl is crazy. Just now he saw that Shue'er was slow, and it was purely psychological reasons that he didn't dare to speed up. So I deliberately decided to find a winner and prepare to stimulate the opponent. Did not expect, but it's not surprising when you think about it. Shue'er is at the peak of her foundation building stage, and the top-grade water spiritual roots bring her majestic water spiritual energy, which is enough to make her stronger than ordinary monks in any aspect that requires spiritual energy. How about it? Zhang Yun looked at Shue'er and asked. At this moment, Shue'er's face was still flushed with excitement. Hearing this, he couldn't help but said, Master, I want to try again. Zhang Yun smiled. Then you can fly around 2 more times, just in time to wait for your 2 slow brothers. Aha! Shue'er nodded, and immediately flew up with his sword, turning into a stream of blue light that swept back and forth in the air. Feeling a little unhappy for a moment, Zhang Yun shook his head in amusement. When you master something that you are not familiar with, it does make people excited and want to try more. Chapter 78 Amazing Vision. You are listening at novelfold.audio. After waiting for 2 minutes, Su Ming and Wu Xiaopeng arrived one after another, looking at Shue'er flying back and forth excitedly in the air. The two of them looked at each other with a wry smile on their faces. Their junior sister looks a little quiet and weak on the outside, but once she breaks out in all aspects, she is simply terrifyingly strong. At this moment, they were rushing toward sword flying at full speed, but they were even so slow. Little fatty, you'll be the last to arrive. Run around the sect's main peak 10 times. Zhang Yun looked at Wu Xiaopeng. Wu Xiaopeng opened his mouth, but when he saw Zhang Yun's eyes glaring, he could only run around in circles. Shue'er, come down. Zhang Yun called Shue'er down from the sky, took her and Su Ming up to the sect's main peak, and received the spiritual stones awarded by his disciples in the spiritual stone library. As the number 1 elder, he also received a reward of 3,000 spiritual stones. He directly distributed the 3,000 spirit stones to each of his 3 disciples, 1,000 each, as an extra reward. Arriving at the foot of the peak, Wu Xiaopeng had already finished his lap and was waiting here. When he saw them, he immediately pretended to be out of breath and came up to them. Master, Master, I'm done. Zhang Yun glanced at him and looked at his boots without much mud. He knew that he must be flying with the sword instead of running in circles, but he didn't go into details. Go ahead and follow me back to the peak. After giving Wu Xiaopeng his share of the spirit stones, he took them back to the 9th peak. Next, prepare for the master's breakthrough in seclusion. You should also consolidate the several spirit-level exercises and combat skills you have learned before. The sect competition in the future will not be as easy as the disciple competition. In front of the cave gate, Zhang Yun gave instructions to his 3 apprentices. Su Ming and the others nodded. The disciple competition only faces the disciples within the sect, while the sect competition will face the young geniuses from all sides in Nanyun Prefecture. It is self-evidently difficult to stand out among these. Go. After watching the three apprentices leave, Zhang Yun turned around and entered the cave, and began to meditate to adjust his spirit. To break through the golden elixir stage, he must adjust his condition to the best. A quarter of an hour later, Zhang Yun opened his shining eyes, throwing out 2 storage rings. 30,000 spiritual stones suddenly appeared in front of him like a small mountain. Start. With a soft breath, Zhang Yun closed his eyes and began to run the GT Ju with all his strength. The prototype of the fist-sized golden elixir in his dantian quickly spun up at this moment. Soon, a powerful suction force emitted from his body and began to crazily suck in the spiritual energy of the spiritual stones in front of him. 1,000 yuan, 2,000 yuan, 3,000 yuan. In less than 2 minutes, half of the 30,000 spirit stones in front of him had been lost, and the prototype of the golden elixir rotating in his body also glowed with a circle of golden light, spinning rapidly and beginning to absorb energy from all directions. Zhang Yun momentarily opened the suction power of GT Ju, and while absorbing the spiritual stones in front of him, he began to absorb spiritual energy from all directions. The peaks of Lingxian sect, many elders and disciples have just returned to the peak not long ago. Many disciples who failed to achieve good results in the disciple competition are still upset and frustrated. Some elders who are ranked lower in the annual elder ranking are also sighing. Suddenly they felt the spiritual energy of the surrounding world being sucked away by the 9th peak. They were startled at first, and then fell silent. He was not angry, but looked in the direction of the 9th peak and pondered. After obviously achieving such good results in the disciple competition, the 4 masters and disciples of the 9th peak returned to the sect and started practicing again. Snapped. Many elders and disciples gritted their teeth and couldn't help but slap themselves. People with extraordinary talents are still working so hard. Why do they, those with average talents, have any reason to sigh and complain about others' high talents? For a time, many elders were flipping through the scroll skills. Seeing that they could not absorb the spiritual energy for the time being, many disciples also started practicing their combat skills in unison. The main peak, the leader of the Lingxian sect, stood at the highest point of the peak with his hands behind his hands, looking in the direction of the 9th peak from a distance, and said lightly, "Did you see it?" Mu Sheng and Wu Yang, who were kneeling behind him, both nodded when they heard this. The leader of the Lingxian sect asked, "Now that I've seen it, do you understand why you lost?" Mu Sheng and Wu Yang were silent for a moment after hearing this, and suddenly said in unison, "Master, we want to go out and practice." "Good." The leader of the Lingxian sect turned around, looked at the 2 of them and said, "Since you have chosen to go out to practice, then let me see your results when you come back. I have no other requirements. When you come back, I want to see your golden elixir." Mu Sheng and Wu Yang looked condensed, but soon a trace of determination flashed in their eyes and they nodded vigorously. "Go find Mingfa, I have prepared some resources for you." The leader of Lingxian sect waved his hand and turned his back to them. "Master, take care." Mu and Sheng looked at his back, cupped their hands, and turned to leave. Well. It wasn't until they were far away that the leader of the Lingxian sect let out a sigh. The void behind him distorted, and a figure wearing a transparent robe appeared. "Sect master, you need me to send someone." The leader of Lingxian sect waved his hand to interrupt him. "They are already adult eagles. If they can't fly alone, then they are useless. Let them go on their own." The transparent figure said no more. The leader of the Lingxian sect asked, "That boy, do you have any questions?" "Sect master, this son should not be involved with those people." "But," the transparent figure spoke, "there are traces of Aurora Tower behind him." "Aurora Tower? That killer force?" Hearing this name, the leader of Lingxian sect was startled and frowned. "Is he the killer of Jiguang Tower?" "Basically confirmed." "Are you specially sent by Jiguang Tower? Who do you want to kill?" "This subordinate is not sure. But I heard that." The transparent figure said, "He has been put on the elimination list of Aurora Tower. The reason is that his strength has dropped." "Strength dropped?" The leader of the Lingxian sect was silent for a moment and pointed at the 9th peak that was absorbing the spiritual energy of the entire sect. "You said this, your strength has dropped." The transparent figure also fell silent for a moment and said, this is what my subordinates found out, and the information should be reliable. In addition, the Aurora Tower has indeed sent an assassin, and he may be hiding outside the sect. After hearing this, the leader of the Lingxian sect thought for a moment and said, go and find a way to catch her and make sure. In addition, go and check the water spirit root girl. As he spoke, he smiled softly and said to himself, is there such a girl near our sect? I have never heard of it before. Yes, the transparent figure responded, put on his robe and disappeared. The leader of Lingxian sect flicked his sleeves and was about to leave the mountaintop. Boom! At this moment, a beam of light suddenly rose in the distance, and a strong wind swept through the entire sect in an instant. The leader of the Lingxian sect who had just turned around suddenly stopped, and his robes were swept up and fluttered. He immediately turned around and looked at Ninth Peak with a hint of surprise in his eyes. There was a beam of light rising into the sky, directly illuminating the somewhat dim sky in the evening. The elders of each peak of Lingxian sect were all alarmed, looking at the strange light beam rising from the ninth peak with surprised expressions. At the same time, the spiritual energy of heaven and earth in the entire sect, including many areas outside the sect. At this moment, they are all converging crazily towards the location of the beam at a faster speed. Oh my God, what's going on? Why does the ninth peak absorb spiritual energy and create such a strange phenomenon? Many disciples of Lingxian sect looked at this scene with astonishment. This absorbs spiritual energy so well, how come it still produces visions? Time passed little by little. Everyone in the Lingxian sect thought that this vision would disappear soon, but they found that 10 minutes, 30 minutes, and even half an hour had passed, and it was already dark, but the vision was still there. And it can be felt that the scope of absorbing the spiritual energy of heaven and earth is continuing to expand further. About 100 miles away from Lingxian sect, there is a small sect called Taichu sect. The leader of the sect is a golden core monk. Regarding the vision of Lingxian sect, everyone in the Taichu sect also saw it from a distance. I didn't pay much attention to it at first. After all, for a large sect like the Lingxian sect, any strange phenomena they find are normal to them. However, half an hour had passed, and the vision still existed, and more importantly, a suction force had suddenly spread to their sect. Before the Taichu sect could react, the spiritual energy of the entire sect began to be absorbed and flowed in the direction of the Lingxian sect. What's the situation? Oh my God! Why is the spiritual energy of heaven and earth I sent running towards Lingxian sect? Sect Master, why can't I absorb spiritual energy? What's going on? The Taichu faction was panicked. Their Taichu sect is a small sect, and the territory they occupy is only a small spiritual mountain, and the spiritual energy of the world is limited. If Lingxian sect continues to maintain this kind of suction, their sect will have no spiritual energy cultivation. Everyone, don't panic. This sect leader will go to Lingxian sect and ask. That the leader of Taichu sect spoke and immediately flew towards Lingxian sect with his sword. A situation like the Taichu sect is currently happening in many small sects and sects within a 200-mile radius of the Lingxian sect. The people who are most confused at this moment are the whole Lingxian sect. What exactly is going on? What on earth are the ninth elder and the others doing? Why hasn't this vision been eliminated? The key point is spiritual energy. If you continue to suck it like this, when will it end? Master, go and have a look. Elder, hurry up and take a look at the ninth peak. If this continues, the disciples will no longer be able to practice. That the 18 peaks of Lingxian sect except the ninth peak are all in a state of panic at this moment. Although it was uncomfortable to absorb spiritual energy from the ninth peak, it only lasted for 3 to 5 minutes and was over. It's good now, it's been half an hour. If they don't stop, how can they continue to practice? Even if you have to work hard, you must at least have aura. The elders of each peak in Lingxian sect had no choice but to leave the peak together and fly to the ninth peak. Metropolitan, that when the elders from the peaks arrived outside the ninth peak, they found that the leader of the Lingxian sect was already here. With expressions of surprise on their faces, the leader of Lingxian sect waved his hand, looked at the position under the soaring light pillar of the ninth peak, and said calmly, "Don't enter the peak yet, someone should be making a breakthrough inside the peak." Breakthrough? All the elders were stunned for a moment. Are you kidding me? This breakthrough can absorb the entire sect. No, it also contains the spiritual energy of heaven and earth from a large area outside the sect. Even if the nascent soul stage breaks through the divine transformation stage, it won't last so long, right? Wait another half-quarter of an hour. If it still happens like this, I'll go in and see for myself, that the leader of Lingxian sect spoke. After hearing this, although the elders wanted to rush into the ninth peak to find out what was going on, they still didn't say anything more. Come here for half an hour, don't care about this half an hour. The leader of the Lingxian sect looked at the beam of light from the ninth peak. His brows furrowed at this moment. He is also very surprised at the moment. Who is making a breakthrough in the ninth peak? The three disciples Su Ming, Wu Xiaopeng, and Yu Shui'er. It's impossible to think about it. Could it be Zhang Yun? Not quite right either. Zhang Yun shouldn't be able to mess with this movement. Is there anyone else hiding in the ninth peak? The leader of Lingxian sect suddenly narrowed his eyes. Boom. Just as he was thinking about it, a thunderous roar suddenly erupted in the dark night sky where the beam of light was shining directly. The master of Lingxian sect and the elders all looked at the sky with concentrated expressions. I saw the light beam rising from the ninth peak into the sky. At this moment, it was like a cloud-piercing arrow, breaking through the layers of night sky above the sky. Finally, it hit what looked like a barrier, or in other words, a huge portal that existed deep in the sky. What's this? All the elders were shocked. How can there be a door in this sky? Gate of shackles. However, the leader of the Lingxian sect recognized the portal. His eyes suddenly widened, and his face showed a rare shock. Also shocked was the third elder of Lingxian sect, with a hint of disbelief in his eyes. The shackles gate. The other elders were stunned when they heard this boom. Before they could think about it, they saw the beam of light rising from the ninth peak into the sky, like a fist, hitting the portal deep in the sky. The whole world trembled. The huge portal swayed slightly, visible to the naked eye, but showed no signs of being opened. Boom. The beam continued to bombard. Boom. 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 One after another, the whole world was shaking for a while. At this moment, everyone in the Lingxian sect felt that the end was coming, and the entire void was trembling as if it was about to be destroyed. Everyone was panicked, and some people couldn't help but leave the sect. Boom. But at this moment, after another tremor, a crisp sound suddenly came from deep in the sky. The leader and elders of Lingxian sect, who were watching closely, could clearly see that the huge and tight door was opened by a beam of light. Before they could see anything, their eyes were shrouded in endless light. The light swept across the entire night sky, making Lingxian sect seem to turn into daylight for nearly half a minute. The light disappeared, the night shrouded again, and the whole world became peaceful. The whole Lingxian sect had not yet reacted, but they felt that the spiritual energy of heaven and earth being absorbed by the ninth peak had stopped, and the spiritual energy of heaven and earth in the entire Lingxian sect began to recover. At the same time, the leaders of some small sects who were rushing to Lingxian sect also felt that the spiritual energy of the surrounding world stopped gathering towards Lingxian sect. The aura of heaven and earth within a radius of 200 miles returned to normal in an instant. At the same time, Catalpa. A sneeze sounded in the cave deep in the ninth peak. Spirit Fairy Chapter 79 Golden Elixir Stage, Demonic Energy. You are listening at novelfold.audio. Where did the pollen come from? Zhang Yun touched his nose with a strange look on his face. After condensing the golden elixir, before I could look inside, I felt like I had inhaled pollen in my mouth and nose. He couldn't help but look above. It feels like this pollen is related to the energy of the beam that the golden elixir absorbed just now. It seemed like a stream of pollen sucked up from the sky. He shook his head and didn't delve into it further. So big, that he looked inside his dantian and couldn't help but clicked his tongue when he saw the shining golden elixir that was as big as a fist. In his memory, when the golden elixir was condensed in his predecessor, the golden elixir was the size of an ordinary elixir. But now his one is at least 10 times bigger. At the slightest touch, large waves of energy will flow to all parts of the body. Under the flow of this energy, every inch of Zhang Yuning's body was filled with power, even the fragile and vital parts under his crotch. He felt that even if a monk in the chi refining stage slashed his body with a knife at this moment, he might not be injured. Powerful. This is how Zhang Yun feels about himself at this moment. There seemed to be a lot of movement just now. Nothing happened outside, right? Zhang Yun suddenly thought and released the induction outside the spiritual consciousness cave. Originally, his perceptual spiritual sense could only barely capture some of the surrounding breath, but the spiritual sense released now could not only capture the breath of living creatures. He could even capture the shapes of living things, such as a few small ants outside the cave, and their shapes clearly appeared in his mind. Breaking through the golden elixir stage, he has also become a lot stronger in terms of soul. As the spiritual consciousness spread, he quickly sensed the powerful aura outside the ninth peak. Facing these powerful auras, his spiritual consciousness could no longer discern their specific forms, and could only feel that they were like streaks of flame. There are two flames among them, which are particularly strong. Immediately fly out of the cave. At a glance, he saw the master of the Lingxian sect and the elders of the Lingxian sect standing in the sky outside the ninth peak. The two particularly powerful auras he sensed were none other than the master of the Lingxian sect and the third elder of the Lingxian sect. He immediately used the immortal eye technique to look at the two of them. Feng Yuan, third elder of Lingxian sect, realm. Nascent Soul Stage. Xiaoqing, physique, Feng Yuan spirit. Body, physical talent, transform like the wind, can transform any part of the body into a whirlwind to avoid various attacks. Kung Fu and combat skills practiced. Hundredfold. Feng Gang Ju, demon sealing seal, demon sealing holy technique. Cultivate special spiritual energy, demonic energy, weakness. The talent you cultivate consumes a lot of spiritual energy, and the consumption will be accelerated according to the power of avoiding attacks. Once it is exhausted, you will be unable to use it and will be temporarily weak. To practice demonic energy, you can use some objects with purification capabilities to restrain it, but among the two, only one had information in his eyes. He used the immortal eye technique again to look at the master of the Lingxian sect, but still no information emerged. Zhang Yun was shocked. There is only one possibility for his immortal eye technique to be ineffective. The other party is beyond his realm, which means, beyond the nascent soul stage. The leader of the Lingxian sect, his cultivation has surpassed the nascent soul stage. Ninth elder, can you tell me what happened? Before he could think about it, the voice of the master of Lingxian sect suddenly came to his ears. I saw that the other party and the elders were looking at him coming out of the cave. Zhang Yun came back to his senses, saw the posture of the Lingxian sect leader and others, and understood that they were attracted by the noise, and immediately made an apologetic gesture and said, Sect master, elders, I just concentrated the golden elixir, maybe the movement was a bit loud. I apologize for disturbing you all. That a bit big? Hearing this, the elders twitched their mouths. Just that movement just now, was it a bit loud? It's obviously so big that it's scary, right? But what worries them more is, Zhang Yun condensed the golden elixir. What do you mean? Zhang Yun has just condensed the golden elixir now. What a joke. The elders didn't believe it, although Zhang Yun had always revealed his cultivation in the foundation building stage before. In their opinion, the former had most likely used some means to conceal his true state. The shattering of the golden elixir before seemed to them to be fake. Condensing the golden elixir now. What a liar. They didn't believe it, but the leader of the Lingxian sect did. He just looked at Zhang Yun with a deep look and said, It's good that the ninth elder can condense the golden elixir again. But the commotion caused this time is too big, and it has affected the entire sect. Practice up and down. Next time the ninth elder breaks through again, you can come to me first, and I will arrange a more suitable place for you to break through. Okay, master. Zhang Yun nodded. Okay, let's all disperse. The leader of Lingxian sect immediately waved his hand and left first. When the elders of the Lingxian sect saw this, they still didn't believe that the recent movement was caused by Zhang Yun's condensation of the golden elixir. However, since the sect leader had already left, they couldn't say any more and left one after another. Ninth elder, remember to come and sit in my peak when you have time. That it was Feng Yuan, the third elder of Lingxian sect with elegant temperament, who smiled at Zhang Yun and said, I'll go when I have time. Zhang Yun smiled and nodded. After watching the other party go away, the smile on his face suddenly faded, and a strange color flashed in his eyes. if the master of Lingxian sect transcending the Nascent Soul Stage is a big discovery, then the situation of the third elder is another big discovery for him. He had previously discovered that these three elders were probably in the Nascent Soul Stage, but he was just a little surprised and didn't think too much about it. But now, I discovered that the other party was practicing demonic energy. Demonic energy, this is a big taboo in the world of immortal cultivation in the immortal continent. Once discovered, he will be regarded as an enemy by all monks and will be hunted down on the mainland's wanted list. Those who practice demonic energy are also called demon cultivators. In the immortal continent, this is intolerable. This originated from a catastrophe caused by a demon cultivator 2,000 years ago. At that time, several top demon cultivators, in order to further improve their cultivation, released a large number of demons that were sealed at that time. Demons are the origin of demonic energy and are the most notorious race in the immortal continent. They are bloodthirsty by nature and regard the flesh and blood of all races as nutrients. As soon as it appears, a large-scale massacre will occur in an area. 2,000 years ago, the demon clan swept across the continent and killed countless creatures, not only humans, but all races were killed and injured. Nowadays, on the immortal continent, it is rare to see other races other than the human race, because most of these races were extinct in that catastrophe. Therefore, the demons and demon cultivators have become the public enemies of the monks in the immortal continent. Although demon cultivators are human beings, cultivating demonic energy is equivalent to joining the demon clan. Daily practice relies on absorbing the spiritual energy of other monks to increase one's own cultivation. The end point of demon cultivation is to transform into a member of the demon clan. This is intolerable in the immortal continent. No wonder you have to hide your cultivation, probably because you are afraid of exposing your demonic energy. Looking at the retreating back of the third elder Feng Yuan, Zhang Yun looked thoughtful. Lurking in the sect, what is the purpose of this person? For so many years in the Lingxian sect, I have never heard of anyone being absorbed in cultivation. Moreover, Feng Yuan was different from ordinary elders. He had joined Lingxian sect as early as when it was first established, and he was a senior figure in the sect. This was also the reason why he was not sure whether the sect master knew the other party's hidden realm before, but now he is sure that the sect leader must not know. After all, it is impossible to tolerate a demonic cultivator as long as the sect leader himself is not a demonic cultivator. Because if this is discovered in the future, the entire Lingxian sect will be implicated. Wait a minute, could the toxins in my body before be related to this person? Zhang Yun suddenly came up with this idea, but after thinking about it carefully, he shook his head and rejected the idea. After all, the opponent was a Nascent Soul Stage demon cultivator, and he specifically poisoned him, a Golden Core Stage cultivator. What was he trying to do? No matter what, we have to find a way to reveal this matter to the sect leader. Zhang Yun breathed out lightly. It's definitely not possible to report it directly. If the explanation is unclear, it might even arouse suspicion. Now that he knew the strength of the leader of the Lingxian sect, he did not dare to report such a thing directly. After all, in front of the Nascent Soul Stage, even if he couldn't defeat him, he could at least run with the command brush and the upgraded Qingyuan step. And facing a god transformation stage, shaked his head. I can only think of other ways, otherwise, it would be too dangerous for such a demon cultivator to let it go. He did not want to see Lingxian sect destroyed in the hands of the other party. In his heart, he still has a sense of belonging to the sect he entered through time travel. If nothing else, at least Ninth Peak is his home here. Master. At this time, Su Ming and the others also arrived outside the cave. The movement just now made them all stop practicing. They just saw Zhang Yun talking with the leader of Lingxian sect and others and did not dare to come forward. Now that the sect leader and others left, they came closer. It's nothing, I just broke through to the next level for my teacher. Zhang Yun waved his hands to them. Breaking through the next level? Su Ming and the other three swallowed. They all saw the movement just now. What kind of realm was this caused by? Think of Zhang Yun being able to create space and create a chi-gathering tower that gathers terrifying spiritual energy. They only felt that this master was becoming more and more mysterious. Zhang Yun said, okay, as a teacher, I have to consolidate my realm. You all should go back and practice. Yes, master. Su Ming and the others nodded and left. After they left, Zhang Yun immediately returned to the cave and entered the world of immortal masters. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through the golden elixir stage, now starting the process of upgrading the Immortal Master Mission Pavilion and the Immortal Master World to the 4th level. As soon as he entered, the disembodied sound reached his ears, the ground suddenly trembled everywhere, and a 2-story attic rose up in front of them. Immortal Master Mission Pavilion. Looking at the plaque on the attic, Zhang Yun raised his eyebrows slightly. There was no rush to enter. He first read the new information on the Immortal Master's warrant. Immortal Master's order, Immortal Master World level 3. Acquired abilities, Immortal Master's Heavenly Eye, Immortal Master's Returning Body, Authorized Facilities Wanjie Gongfa Pavilion, Level 3 Authority. Qi Gathering Tower, you can enter the 1st floor and activate the 100 Spirit Gathering Array. Immortal Master Task Pavilion, you can enter the 1st floor. Tip, you have obtained a task, you can go to the Task Pavilion to check the specific content. The process of upgrading the big world to level 4, the host reaches the golden elixir stage, satisfied, accepts 3 disciples, satisfied, trains 1 disciple to the Nascent Soul Stage, 0 to 1, trains 2 disciples to the golden elixir stage, satisfied, 0/2. Nascent Soul Stage. Looking at the conditions for advancing to the next level in the Immortal Master World, the corners of Zhang Yun's mouth couldn't help but twitch. He himself has just broken through the golden elixir, now he is required to train his disciples to Nascent Soul. It seems that upgrading the Immortal Master World is a bit far away. Shaking his head slightly, Zhang Yun looked at the Immortal Master Mission Pavilion in front of him, opened the door and walked in. The 1st floor of the attic looks like a mission hall, empty, but there are mission signs on the surrounding walls. But most of them are blank, with only one task area. Mission 1, Related Disciple Su Ming, Mission Content, Revenge, help Su Ming destroy the enemy Lin family, task duration, 1 year. Countdown, 364 days 23:59:39. Mission reward, a drop of golden dragon blood, a chance to capture the light group. Note, after completing this task, Task 2 will start. Destroy the Lin family. Zhang Yun raised his eyebrows slightly. I didn't expect it to be like this. However, the Lin family has long been on his must-kill list. It was just that the strength was not enough before, but now, he narrowed his eyes slightly. After the sect competition, you can go shopping in Nanyan City. Fairyland Chapter 80 Blue Sea City, Nanbao Island. You are listening at novelfold.audio. Immortal Continent, Central Territory, in a dark ancient city. Southern Territory. Someone in the Southern Territory opened the shackles door. Suddenly, a somewhat excited old voice sounded. Ancestor. Many figures in the city were startled. The old voice sounded again. Go. Send someone to the Southern Territory, find the person who opened the shackles door, and bring him here. Yes, Ancestor. The many figures who were startled looked stern and responded one after another. The old voice receded. A deep voice immediately sounded in the city. 6 sons, you go to the Southern Territory and be sure to find the person the ancestor mentioned. Yes. 6 young men dressed in black appeared from the shadows inside the city. After responding, they disappeared from the shadows leading outside the city. Southern Territory, Southern Star State, deep under the sea, in a huge cave, there is a long table. Buzz. Following a burst of space distortion, illusory figures appeared on both ends of the long table. Just now in the Southern Territory, someone opened the shackles door. At the head of the long table, a figure wearing a black gold mask spoke. As soon as these words came out, many figures present were slightly shaken. The one who opened it is on my side. At the 3rd seat on the right side of the long table, a figure who looked like a man in a white robe and mask spoke. All the figures present looked at him. The black gold-masked figure on the main seat was startled and said, "Tell me about this person." The man in the white robe mask nodded and elaborated. This person is the 9th elder of the Lingxian sect. He is only in his early 30s and is already in the golden elixir stage. After testing 3 months ago, it was found that this child's growth potential can reach level 7, and he is an excellent sacrifice. For this reason, I took measures to let his golden elixir break and fall to the foundation, and prepared to capture it later. Unexpectedly, after his cultivation level fell, he first took on the disciples of Long Lingzhen. For some reason, his strength did not weaken, but only improved. And he has accepted 2 genius disciples. Just before, he recondensed the golden elixir and opened the shackles door. After listening, there was a moment of silence. Is this kid having an adventure? That it was the black gold-masked figure on the main seat who spoke and broke the silence. I'm not sure. The man in the white robe and mask shook his head and said, Sir, how should we deal with this person? After a moment of silence, the figure in the black gold mask said calmly, no matter what the adventure is, it is extremely rare to touch the shackles door. If it can be used by our sect, it will be an excellent weapon. Try to recruit. If it fails, bring it back as a sacrifice. Bar. Yes, sir. The man in the white robe and mask responded. The figure in the black gold mask continued, in addition, you should make preparations for the next immortal secret realm. After so many years, it is time to reap the fruits. Yes, sir. As soon as these words were spoken, everyone present was shocked and responded excitedly, with a flash of light, seeing the figure in the black gold mask disappear, the figures present also disappeared one after another. After a blink of an eye, there was no one in the huge cave, leaving only the long empty table. As if nothing had happened before, time flew by and it was already 5 days later. Early in the morning, the sound of a crane rang out from the 9th peak, Zhang Yun. The cave woke up from his breath adjustment, looked outside, got up and walked out. I saw a white crane that was over 2 meters long, flying over the top of the 9th peak. When I saw him coming out, I fanned my wings humanely towards him from a distance, clearly urging him. Zhang Yun raised his eyebrows, knowing that this was sent by the sect leader. Immediately, Ming and the others were brought out and rode on the white crane at the top of the mountain. This kind of white crane is called bilingi. The crane's back is very broad and can carry 5 to 8 people at the same time. At this moment, the 4 masters and disciples of Zhang Yun went up, and it didn't feel crowded at all. The white crane immediately spread its wings and flew outside the Lingxian sect. Ming and the others were slightly surprised when they looked at the white crane. Wu Xiaopang asked curiously, Master, isn't this the white crane that the sect master rode on? This is not the sect master's car. It's just one of the many white cranes he keeps. Zhang Yun shook his head. This kind of white crane is a foundation-building spiritual beast. It is said that the leader of the Lingxian sect accidentally conquered a few cranes in his early years, and then cultivated them for decades, and gradually grew nearly 30 cranes. Generally, the master of the Lingxian sect would send out these white cranes only in collective gatherings such as sect competitions. After hearing Zhang Yun's words, Bilingi quit. What do you mean it's not the sect leader's car? Although it has indeed not been ridden by the sect leader, it is still a ready-made vehicle. Zhang Yun laughed. This bilingi was raised by the sect leader to be extremely humane. I'm just saying that you will definitely be the sect master's exclusive car in the future. Zhang Yun touched its head and smiled. Bilingi was then satisfied and accelerated to fly them outside the Lingxian sect. Ming and the 3 of them looked at it with surprise. Ming and Wu Xiaopang subconsciously looked inside their clothes and felt helpless when they saw the 2 bear cubs sleeping soundly. How long will it take for their bear cub to be as psychic as this white crane? Soon, Bilingi flew all the way to the outside of Lingxian sect with the 4 masters and disciples. At the same time, white cranes flew out from all directions, with elders and disciples from various peaks on their backs. The leader of the Lingxian sect had already been waiting outside the sect on his exclusive white spirit crane. When he saw everyone arriving, he immediately said, Let's go. After the words fell, nearly 20 white cranes screamed in unison, carrying everyone and spread their wings and flew in one direction, at full speed. This speed is extremely fast, no less than a golden elixir stage flying with a sword at full strength. This sect competition will be held in Lanhai City in the middle of Nanyun Prefecture. At Bilingi's speed, it will take us about 5 days to arrive. There won't be much rest time after that, so while there is still time, try our best to adjust your mental state to the best. After Bilingi flew stably, the leader of the Lingxian sect spoke to everyone. All the disciples present nodded and sat down on the crane's back. Zhang Yun also asked Ming and the others to sit down behind him. While he stood in front to protect them from the wind, he couldn't help but glance at Meng Zhong, who was on the other white crane. He was thinking about finding an opportunity during the sect competition to pluck off the opponent's head. Unlike the mountains in the southern part of Nanyuan Prefecture, most of the area in the central part of Nanyuan Prefecture is blue sea, with less than 30% of it being land. Among them, there is a sea area called Blue Sea, which is the largest sea area in Nanyuan. Blue Ocean City was built on the coast of this blue ocean. Because the sect competition is about to be held, Blue Ocean City is now overcrowded. When the Lingxian sect and his party flew over the city, they could see the streets and alleys in the city below. The dense flow of people was more dense than ants. Fortunately, they don't need to settle in this city. I have met the master of Lingxian sect and all the elders, that I saw a middle-aged Taoist priest Yu Jian coming from a short distance away. I am the deacon of Nanhai sect, please follow me. That with that said, he flew towards the direction of the Blue Sea outside the Blue Sea city. Everyone from the Lingxian sect immediately followed them on cranes. After flying for more than 10 miles, we arrived at a large island in the Blue Sea. There were several giant underwater pythons with a length of more than 20 meters wandering around the island, swimming back and forth. Their huge prismatic pupils were all staring at the people of the Lingxian sect on the white lingi above. Staring like this, many disciples of Lingxian sect turned pale. Spiritual beasts of this size are rarely seen on land, and this was their first time encountering them. Moreover, the auras of these sea pythons have reached the golden elixir stage. If we attack them, thinking about it, many disciples couldn't help but shrink back. On the other hand, all the elders looked calm. These sea pythons are just the most common golden core stage sea pythons. They just look scary in size and have scumbag fighting ability. If they really fight with monks, any golden elixir level person can punish them. Because their skin and flesh are extremely soft and their defenses are as brittle as paper, it is extremely easy to penetrate their bodies with the flying swords of the golden core stage monks combined with their spiritual energy. Among the golden elixir stage spirit beasts, this sea python is recognized as one of the weakest. Otherwise, it would not be tamed by the Nanhai sect and would be treated as an island python around the island. However, it is not easy to tame them into island pythons. Putting them here shows the power of Nanhai sect. Fellow Taoists of Lingxian sect, I'm really sorry. There have been a lot of affairs recently and the sect is short of manpower, so I can only welcome you here. At this time, a voice came from the island, and an elegant middle-aged swordsman wearing a blue robe flew up with an apologetic smile on his face. The leader of the Lingxian sect said, "The fact that the Grand Elder of Nanhai came to greet you in person has already given me enough face. But I am a guest, so I am in trouble. Don't bother me, don't bother me." The elegant middle-aged man in blue robe, the Grand Elder of Nanhai sect, waved his hand and smiled, and then made a "please" gesture to everyone. Master Lingxian sect, and fellow Taoists, please follow me. Saying that, Yu Jian flew towards the island. Everyone from the Lingxian sect rode on the Bailingi and followed closely. This island is called Nanbao Island. It was built by our Zonghua with heavy investment. There is a Nanbao street inside, which is a real treasure hunting place. In this Nanbao street, there are many rare treasures every day being dug out. While flying, the elder of the Nanhai sect pointed to a very lively street on the island below and introduced to everyone, a few years ago, someone unearthed a 100-year-old top-quality spirit plant here worth millions of spirit stones. Medicine. A century-old ultimate elixir. Hearing this, everyone in Lingxian sect became energetic. Zhang Yun also raised his eyebrows. The 100-year-old top-grade elixir is a level higher than the 100-year-old top-grade elixir he has. If you fellow Taoists are interested, you might as well go shopping in this street. The Grand Elder of the Nanhai sect saw the crowd's movements and said with a smile, "Perhaps all of you fellow Taoists will be lucky enough to unearth a 100-year-old top-notch elixir." Hearing these words, many people in Lingxian sect breathed a little quickly, even some elders were no exception. Nanbao, Nanbao Street, they have actually heard of this name, but many elders have never had the chance to come. Now that I have arrived, my heart is a little moved. Seeing everyone's reaction, the elder of Nanhai sect said nothing more and took them directly to a courtyard area on the island. I don't know if it was a deliberate arrangement or something else. When everyone from the Lingxian sect followed the Nanhai sect's elder to the courtyard area, they bumped into a group of Nanshan sect who seemed to have just arrived on the island from the other direction. Enemies are extremely jealous when they meet. Lingxian sect. Everyone in the Nanshan sect gritted their teeth, especially Zhang Yun among them. During the previous exchange meeting, many elders died. Although there is no direct evidence, it is certain that Zhang Yun did it. Zhang Yun glanced at them and couldn't help but bared his teeth when he saw the head of the Nanshan sect. Snort, that the head of the Nanshan sect snorted coldly when he saw this, but he didn't want to cause a conflict here, so he waved his hand directly. Let's go. That the Nanshan sect and his entourage followed him and left. The leader of the Lingxian sect didn't pay much attention, and just gave the Nanhai sect's elder a somewhat thoughtful look. When the latter saw that there was no conflict between the two sects, a trace of surprise flashed across his eyes. Seeing his eyes, the latter smiled brightly. Master Lingxian sect, fellow Taoists. There are many elegant courtyards in front. Most of them are empty, he said. Friends are free to choose a place to stay temporarily. After saying that, he hurriedly left. Let's go. That the leader of the Lingxian sect glanced at the other party's back and spoke to everyone in the Lingxian sect. Everyone followed him into it. Let's just go to this row. Each elder will take your disciples to choose a room. Don't be too far away from each other. That arriving in front of an empty courtyard, the leader of Lingxian sect said, also, try not to travel on the island. Nanhai sect is more shameless. Forehead. Everyone wanted to nod after hearing the first half of the sentence, but the second half left everyone stunned. Shameless? What does it mean? Anyway, if you don't want to lose money, try not to go out. The leader of the Lingxian sect spoke again and walked into a nearby courtyard. Many people looked confused.